Mhm.
Okay, so we are on recording now and starting our finance committee meeting. So I'll call the meeting to order. We're missing Tim tonight and we'll excuse him. He had other obligations. So I will call for an approval of the finance committee meeting minutes dated March 10th, 2025 as sent out by Janet and call for an
I'll
approval
make
on
the
that.
motion.
I'll second it.
I'm like, you'll have to second it. 'cause you
All in
can't.
favor, say aye.
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 Motion pass. Chris, you want to discuss any late city budget numbers with us?
Yeah, so I got it up on the screen here and just go over the highlights for right now. We are going to have to open the budget up and make several changes, just individual line items, but as far as summaries of each of the categories that the auditors look at and the law looks at, we're 75% of the year, just a little over 75% of the year gone. And the only one categories up here is the public safety, fire, and fuel reduction. We're 86% over, we're 16%, well, 11% over. And the reason is because our guys went on policy. We are getting reimbursed from the state, so we open up the budget in the next month or two. We'll fix everything there.
Is that the line item under fire and public safety?
Yeah, it's a 547%. Overall, we're 86. So we're still within parameters that,
It's because we paid them, but we haven't been paid yet. Is that what?
well, we've paid them, and so you'll see up also under miscellaneous revenue, we're at 1209%. So we've received some of the money. We just need we thought the season was going to end in October, so we went salaries in October, but because they calculated $1,000 salaries in January, that was anticipated.
Looks like things are in good order.
Yeah, they're good order. Ted, with the roads, he's getting ready to do the roads, and there you can see up here that our roads were 45% spent, 75% year, but actually road line up there, 127%. That's going to go fast. They're all lined up ready to go.
Once spring hits where we can.
500 grand.
Speaking of roads, are those white X's something that's related to an upcoming road project?
Not an upcoming road project. It is for Comcast. They've decided that they want to come into the city. And there's, we don't have any choice but to let them come into the city.
They're a regulated utility.
Yeah, so they're gonna start boring and laying lines over the next 3 weeks. And they'll be here till October.
So they're boring.
That's their hope, is to bore in the ground and run the lines through conduit.
So is the X's indicating bore here?
Yes.
And are they going to be doing it in the road or off in the?
They're
Side.
supposed to be off on the side. Some may cross over the road at some time and then they'll have to cut and fill.
What line is this, Joe?
There's nothing in the line item budget. However, we will look at our fee schedule and make sure that it's appropriate for excavation permits because this is taking a lot of time of our public works employee to do blue stakes. And we did talk to Comcast about that yesterday when they came in and said, this is an unusual request. So we're going to have them break it up in the meantime and not do just one big excavation permit. That wouldn't be beneficial for us. So each road, it's going to be done by a section and they've got to turn an excavation permit for each section.
Do we need to look at the franchise tax? I know we have the franchise tax set to the max on electricity and gas, natural gas. We have to add that. Or is the franchise tax, is it just covered for any public utility?
It's
been
for
long.
any public utility.
It's going to be the 6%.
Yeah.
And we could probably count on them hitting 3 or 4 or 5 gas lines.
We can count
On my
on,
road.
we
It's
can,
always on my road.
yeah, we can count on them being extremely, our fire department being active over the next few months. And we can probably count on residents who do have Utopia, and those fiber lines probably
Cut.
will be cut. So we'll have some upset residents and we're
It'd be
gearing up
anybody-
for it and having lots
anybody
of
can up.
chocolate in the office when we get those phone calls.
And who's going to get Comcast?
Is this
I
Comcast
think,
coming in?
I think it's great that residents have another.
They'll have
choice.
a choice, and I mean Comcast is not just Comcast. It's
They
Parent
provide
Carpenter is Xfinity, and so they can offer security systems. They can
Mm-hmm.
offer
TV.
TV, cell
demand.
phone, all those things. So they can have a bigger bundle package if you are looking for that. And we do have some residents that are looking for those things now. Yeah, the
Okay.
dial-up and the CenturyLink, is no longer. I mean, we still have a couple people that are still on CenturyLink.
Does
I am,
everybody
I'm still
have-
on Century, and it
Okay.
works great.
Yeah.
Does everybody have access to fiber?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
I've
100%.
never-
Everyone-
complained.
Yeah, and
My
when
wife- my
fiber,
wife does, but I don't.
oh, see, when fiber came in, our take rate, we've got 420 homes roughly, but we've got 334 people on
Take rate's huge.
Utopia.
Yeah.
It's a huge take rate.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
excited
yeah.
to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it has been,
Is it
Utopia.
wonderful?
It is. I mean,
Yeah.
Better than sliced bread.
Yeah.
It's,
Better.
it's like night and day. It's not even close.
we can have, 100 devices on ours at home. I think that's probably what we
Yeah.
have when everyone comes home. And
In other words, if I got it, my grandkids would be shouting for joy. right?
they would, but you probably don't want them to have it when they come because
right.
you know what? Then they won't communicate and
But
interact with you.
when we got it, then we were able to get YouTube TV. So it's all
That's what we do.
internet based. It saves us a lot of money every month.
And wherever you are, you can get it on your phone, the YouTube.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
take it with you. When we go to our cabin, we just log into YouTube TV at our cabin.
I'm here temporarily.
Yeah, wherever you're going, it's fabulous.
And you can also have tons of
But
kids
you
on
have
YouTube
good enough
TV.
speed at your
Yeah,
cabin.
you share
Yes,
that
we
with your
actually
family.
do.
The
We have
entire
fiber there
family's
too.
on it.
Oh, okay.
Well, might have to look at that, so,
For $85 a month, you can have all, your whole family on it, basically. So
really?
Mine's $50 a month.
And you can get fiber up here, you can get 10 gig speed.
Well, I mean, my internet's 50.
but your YouTube,
Oh, my YouTube's 72.
Yeah, 72. It keeps ratcheting up.
I
every-
know.
And that's how you get TV,
Mm-hmm.
through YouTube.
Yeah, well, and everything's on there. So like if you have a smart TV, which I do, and I know this is way off, but anyway, but it has Netflix, it has Disney. We can
Yes.
pull up the church stuff.
I was watching, listening to it on.
You
the
can
way
pull up
into the
YouTube and
TV.
search for church videos and stuff and watch them on our TV. No, YouTube TV does. Yeah.
oh,
Well, smart TV, you can,
Yeah, like the LGs or the Samsungs.
yeah, you can pull up everything just all in one place.
paying for that Netflix membership anyway?
Well, you have to pay for it.
Oh, okay, well,
It's just the smart TV.
yeah, we got that done. Anyways, yes,
Well, thank you
there's
for
the
that
long and the short of
update.
it.
Sounds like we're gonna be drilling and under the side of the road. Or is it gonna go along the Utopia route?
So far, in the bottom portion, the excavation permit that they submitted, it's gonna go up the north side of Woodland Hills Drive. And then it's gonna
Goes
cross,
like this,
yeah,
north.
it is, it's gonna cross
As you're going up,
over.
is it on the left or the right?
As you're going up, it's on the left until you get to Oak. And then it's gonna go on the right, and they're gonna cut right there on the road.
Do you know, did they cut a deal with SESD to use some of their buried conduit?
Huh.
Yes, they are working on that, and they're.
So that may
I
not
think
be too much. to
They're
do.
gonna use.
But
some
they're
of
not
the-
gonna do it in the middle of the winter.
No, they're not. And supposedly this guy says, I make sure it's at the right depth. I do my homework, and
They're smart.
we're gonna drill.
We'll
Good.
see, because the fiber, like where my house is, they couldn't get through the rock.
I.
They had to,
They would bore and it'd bounce up.
Yeah.
Whatever
and
the
then they
drill-
couldn't get the line through, and then it wouldn't, they had to come and redo ours 3 times.
They finally just laid on top until the winter was over. They just
Uh-huh.
laid there.
And then left it there.
We were lucky because what happened? We finished that in 2018, and what happened in 19? COVID.
We just kept calling them till they came and redug it. But we have dogs, and they just left it on top of the ground, and I was like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So we had to keep calling them, tell them to come back.
So are they planning on digging a trench and putting conduit down in the trench, or are they?
In areas that they have to do trenches, they will.
Okay.
But they'll use some existing conduit that SESD has throughout the city and be able to feed it through that. Otherwise, they will be doing excavation work in the city right away. And they'll have proper flagging crews. They'll also do door tags on areas where they'll be in that time period. So they'll let residents know ahead of time that they're gonna be in that area. It's a good way also to sell their service, right? But also to inform them that there'll be construction work in the area. So,
Have you seen those boring machines?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're pretty slick.
They're
If they
pretty slick.
do it.
We have one operating right now that we're going to have operating up at Soldier Summit. They're going across 6 and 50, Highway 6 and 50. We're putting an 8-inch water line and they're doing it all by below.
wow.
Get fiber up there. Oh, you can just start it now.
No, I serve on the water board and so they're drilling. Where, you know, where
This isn't
Soldier
for
Summit.
internet, this is water.
You know where Soldier Summit
That doesn't
State
go
is?
through the air.
Well, on the other side of the highway is Soldier Summit Estates, and we have all the water over there.
Oh.
So they've had a 1.5 inch line servicing them. They're not gonna have an 8-inch line.
They can take a shower now.
So if they get a fire, now we'll have some protection for them.
That's smart.
Yeah, an inch and a half line isn't gonna do it. Have that into our homes now. So,
All right, moving on. Discussion for upcoming annual fiscal budget planning for 7/2025 to 6/2020, 2025 to 6/2026. You have some numbers.
Yeah, I actually thought you guys were going to meet with them before tonight.
Well, nobody's called me with any numbers yet.
Okay.
or
That's
gotten
why
any
I'm here
numbers
for
to-
mine.
Okay, and then Ted did send me his just in case.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I do have some numbers, but I want to make sure I wasn't like stepping on toes. or
You're not
crossing
stepping on
Okay.
my toes at all.
You've been gone.
I have, we just got back from Cobbles.
Okay. So maybe since Jody's here.
And then I can leave.
I can
Yes.
Turn everything off.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you, Jody.
I'm a visual person, so I need to have things in front of me.
It helps me too.
So.
So am I,
I
Jody.
know this is. you know,
Analog.
I'm
I'm a
the
visual
old,
person, it's in front of me.
I know, I like paper, I like to be able to hold it. So I can
She has access to the program too. so
Yeah,
it
and I have
makes it-
access to the program, so it's like, ooh, this way, and then I can also see it and I can go, what am I doing wrong here?
well, you gave us
So
4 years here.
yeah, I know, I did that. So one of the things I just want to point out on the first page, under charges for service, our miscellaneous services is up substantially, 2,500%. And
Oh,
that's,
wow.
yeah,
But it's only 2,500.
it's only 2,500, but that's kind of an anomaly. That's actually for code enforcement. So we've had some code violations and fines for people.
Are you collecting?
And we actually collected.
This is
So-
revenue.
So that's a good thing on that revenue. Also, our city center rental has been up, so the city center is being used a little bit more. But because it's being used a little bit more, we go through supplies a little bit faster. So,
Will this be the first wedding held in the city center?
no, we've had, we usually will have one at least a year.
Oh, really?
Is this John and Rachel? Is
Uh-huh. And it
it's-
won't,
It's here?
no, the wedding is over at
It's down to Summit Creek,
Summit
right?
Creek, and then I think they're having a family dinner or something here.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know exactly what they're doing.
That's what I heard
Yeah,
John said yesterday.
yeah. So, but they're kind of, yeah, we're excited for them, and that's good. So let's go to page 2 under 4111,580 council travel. Right now you're going to see that's at 0. We haven't spent any. Don't worry, we're going to spend it all next week. We allocate 5,000 a year, and my proposal is to keep that the same, hopefully. That is just enough to allow 6 members of the city council to go to a 3-day conference and for their hotel. It does not give them anything for travel expenses. They've got to pay their own gas to get there. They have to pay their own food when they're there
Where is this held?
in St. George.
I think it would be nice if an outside committee recommended, not the city council, that they at least get reimbursed for some stuff. This is.
Well, I would agree with that.
I'm gonna throw this out there too, because well-deserved, but city council approved raises for the city employees recently. Well-deserved, but city council hasn't had a raise in like 12 years.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
We get $84.32 every 2 weeks. So, but we can't really recommend it. So I'm just gonna say,
Well,
and it's actually a stipend. It's just a reimbursement for gas for going to all of our committee meetings and stuff that we have to go. We actually don't get paid anything.
yeah, that's just it is, you don't serve in the city council to get compensated.
No. I know, but I'm just saying.
But you shouldn't have to pay out of your own pocket. to
That,
serve
that's
there.
just it, is I would rather put money in reimbursement for conference,
Yeah.
fully
me too.
funding a conference,
Right.
rather than putting it into compensation.
Or maybe allowing them to have enough money in there that they can turn in their receipts at least, so that when they go, if they've got to get dinner down there, they can turn in a receipt up to $22 or whatever the max
diem.
daily limit is, and that they can turn in their gas receipt, allowing them to do that. Some of them are, I think Doral and Brian try to carpool in order to save some money.
They do.
And
Probably,
we've-
it'd probably be mileage reimbursement, wouldn't it?
yeah.
Well, if you step it, you could do gas reimbursement, which the mileage down the back, it's like 78 cents. It's not high now. It's be $360 round trip. Gas, 150 if you step it up. But Jody, I think we have 3,000 budgeted and we spent 1137 so far. So do we need to be careful on?
On line 41, 11, 580.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at your travel.
No, don't worry. We'll get to mine.
Okay, sorry.
I'm
My
I'm
bad.
not I'm not that far yet. I'm only on this little one.
So last year, like you said, we spent 3,500 bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we spent 30, yeah, and that was not with everyone going. And also I had a bargain basement on hotel. And I was really glad the mayor didn't go, because I would have been embarrassed for him to be there.
If I don't go, can you get the money back, or is it?
It had blood on the walls inside and
Oh, well, let's just say I didn't take off my shoes until I was inside the bed, and I brought my own sheets. Well, I went and got them at Walmart. I was just not doing that. I could, today was the last day.
Yeah. I debated today.
So would the city be interested in contacting some of our residents that have second homes in St. George and see if they could just use their homes?
That's a possibility. I mean, we can look at that. Anything is out there. It's for 2 nights, so it's usually a Wednesday and Thursday night.
The room's $100 a night, right? We still get a decent.
Yeah,
rate.
we were able to get a discount this year. Last year, it was a timing thing, and so we had to do something different. But we got in right away this year and got those reservations made in January, as soon as the dates were announced. So
I think as long as it's reasonable, I think I would say put it in the budget.
yeah, so it's
for
$100, and that's covered. But this 5,000 just barely covers it. I just want you to know that
Especially our
is.
council people and mayor that are really not compensated for their service. I think that I think we should cover their expenses.
So I would look more than on that one. I'd probably look at upping it to about 7,000, just to be on the safe side. We might be able to get away with 6,500.
You feel good with that, Aaron?
I definitely agree with the principle. I don't know the numbers to do it, but I agree with the principle that if you're going to go to training, that all of the training costs should be covered.
Right.
And we
Not
only
just
let
the
them go to one training a year.
Yeah.
So they have to choose. Utah Leagues of Cities and Towns does have 2 trainings a year. One is in Salt Lake and one's here. Unfortunately, though, the one in Salt Lake, the conference fee is almost double of the one in St. George. I don't get it, but
They try to just attract more people to go down to St.
yeah,
George.
I think so. Tourism, they'll spend some more money there. Salt Lake's already got, it's just that
It is
convention
really good,
center.
though. They have like classes on water conservation and different things, planning.
Well, and that's where they also do their, the April one is where they do their legislation update. And so they will have a class where they will go through every bill that was passed that's going to affect a city. So everything that, like my Thursday is Recorders Day. They will go through every single bill that affects recorders and tell us what we've got to change or what we have to do differently, what our advertising is, how grandma law may have changed this year.
invaluable information.
Yeah, I like the recorder one because there's only, that session only has a limit of 25 recorders. And so you spend the whole day with only 24 other recorders. And
It's great.
it's small enough that you get to know them and you can rely upon them when you need help with a grammar request or help on, you know, I really
There's no
rely.
flutes or clarinets allowed.
There's no flutes, no clarinets, and it's definitely not downtime. It's not like you're just sitting there going, "Hey, this is cool," you know?
And, but it's cool too because there's other mayors and other, like you get to rub shoulders with
Yeah.
other people.
Yeah.
And so it's.
I didn't do it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. We won't.
Oh, good.
But well, we are going to work on getting the air conditioning or the heat fixed because it's 79 degrees in
We
here.
have to advertise now. You walked in. We have to advertise a council meeting.
Nope, there's only two. We're good. Council expenses, again, we're under budget there, so I think the 1,000 is great. And we might even want to suggest that council maybe submit their
Which line item you at?
The next line
Uh,
down. She's on
411,601.
Mm.
We maybe can cover some of the gas this time around by that one, and have them turn in their receipts.
You could give them an amount, just say turn in receipts up to,
Yeah, and so maybe we can look at that, and I'll talk with Chris on that and see if he's got any suggestions.
Well, I mean, carpooling would be great, so you can talk about everything you learned in the 3-hour drive back.
it is hard for
Timing.
time when you leave.
female, male, not gonna
Sure.
carpool.
Yeah, so that one's hard, and then also most people when they leave on Wednesday night is different. Some will leave after work at 6 o'clock, and then some won't leave will Carrie will leave like at 10 a.m. in the morning so she can get down there for.
Yeah, and I
For
can't
league
carpool
stuff.
with Carrie because she gets down there a whole day before me.
Yeah, so there's some of those, but we do try and do that. My next area that I'm over in some of the administrative stuff, which is your 4141. Chris, I was going to ask you, I don't see a 4141-240, which is health insurance. Is there an area where we're covering that under administrative that's not
No,
there?
that's interesting. That didn't print out.
Good catch. Well, what's administrative insurance?
It's not under administrative
That would be
insurance
like
and
our
surety.
liability.
Yeah, so I just happened to notice that. I'm like, where is that? But it's under building and it's under the other ones. So we probably want to put something there,
Yeah,
or at least categorize it right if we've got it somewhere else, so that
Are the 3 employees that currently participate under administrative, or are they under other categories?
it would be divvied up between different categories. Chris gets paid out of 2, right? Water and administrative. Ted gets paid out of administrative and building and roads and water. So he gets kind of divvied up, but it probably would be good just so that when turnover, Chris and I aren't going to be here forever. We know that. So it's a way of accurately representing our finances and making sure that if our costs go up, we can reflect it there as well.
How does the city decide how much of each person's wages to put under which buckets? Does it matter?
So we look at just basically job descriptions. So like Lori spends like pretty much 100% of her time, unless Jody's out of town, 100% of her time in the water. With me doing financials for water and budget and general account, we break it up just as a 80-20 or 60-40. I can't remember what it was. Ted, we sat down when we first hired Ted to try and figure out what are your job description, what your duty's going to be. We based it off of that, and we just look at it every year, kind of what are you doing? Things shifted. And then Toby actually logs his time. He's paid hourly, so he logs his time in different categories that he specifically works in. So he might work parks, he might work roads, he might work water, he might work fire.
So do we have some sort of a roll up of all wages and salaries, regardless of which bucket they're in? Let's just look at that year over year.
Yeah, we have I just keep a spreadsheet. So, if Ted makes $100,000, we can see that, Ted makes $100,000, and then we break it out in the budget from there. Yeah, and the mayor is recommending. So we looked at raises this year for the employees, and we've done some pretty hefty raises the past couple of years. So this year he's proposing a 3% raise as a 1% merit. So 4% overall raise is what he's going to propose to the council this year. The state of Utah is doing a 2.5% raise overall for all their employees at the state, and then at the colleges, plus a 1% merit pay. And then talking with other cities, they're all fluctuating, but they're all in about the 2 to 4% range.
And we're still lower than most places. And we want to be careful that we don't lose good employees to a neighboring city because they're paying so much more than we are. So we, they're well deserved. We need to do those raises.
Jody, I don't know where that is. I'll look it up, but that was a good catch. I'll add a line there if it's not.
So if we can add a line item for that. Administrative audit. I don't know if we're going to go out to bid this next year, but if we are, I would assume that's going to go up. And the only reason is because we've stayed with the company we've been at for a number of years. They're used to working with us. It makes it simple, right? We don't have to dive more into it. But I would assume that if we go with another company, because we probably do need to go out to bid again, we probably need to put maybe another 15% in there, 10%.
Over the 13,000.
I would say maybe 15,000. I just don't know that one correct, but I would assume it's going to go up.
So I found the RFP. It said we did 19, but I had the RFP written up, but you don't think we ever advertised?
We
it,
didn't
did
advertise because of COVID. We got into that whole thing, and so it didn't end up being
It's
advertised.
been a long time.
So it's been a while since we've done an RFP. I think it's suggested that we do one every 6 to 7 years.
I think it's, yeah, even maybe a little less. But we
Yeah.
need to look at the attorneys also. I think it's every 5 years.
And the attorneys we did back in 2020 when Paul MacArthur was on the council, because he helped us find him during the beginning stages of our continual neighbors dispute lawsuit that we're in.
Speaking of attorneys, I saw that Mary Adams' house is for sale.
It
Jenny.
is
Jenny Adams.
it is for sale. She did have an offer on it, and I guess it
It
failed.
did fall through. She talked to me today.
So,
But we think there might have been some intervention there.
So can you talk a little bit about legal fees
Well, that
then? Are
interfered
we
with
still
some.
experiencing
we do.
lawsuit from,
We still, in fact, a additional claim was filed against the city recently, and it was filed with the 4th District Court.
Same issue or?
Same issue.
Same.
same issue?
Well, it's
It's
a
this.
different- it's a
Can't a
different
judge
It's
put
re-
that to bed, for heaven's sakes?
It's
It's personal.
Some people
now.
can't move on.
it's resulting from the same issue. Now it's personal. In this one, since it is public record, I'm okay with saying it. They are naming myself, they are naming Wayne Franson, they're naming Ted Mickelson, and they're naming the mayor in this one.
But
And
not Corbett?
not Corbett in this one, because he's got one right now with
They've
the
got a separate
state
one.
He's already got
appellate.
another one.
They got an
He's-
open case right now.
They've got an open case against him right now with the state appellate court. And this one primarily deals with a letter that was written in August of 2019. Under the direction of Corbett, I wrote a letter that said the Adams were constructing their home on August 15th according to their plans, and that they had passed their inspections. They're wanting me to go back and change the record. And I won't do that. That was what it was at that time. It doesn't mean that the Adams later, September, October, November, December, January, changed their plans. At that moment in time, what we had, they had passed their initial 2 inspections, and they were building according to what their engineer of record had stated they should be building to.
So I guess the question then is, from a legal standpoint and fees, are we budgeting enough?
No. And the reason we're not budgeting enough is we have about $14,000 left from the $100,000 that the trust gave us, the insurance company. And they, as of right now, are considering this part of that, still that one big lawsuit. So they've denied that they're going to cover it anymore. And so I've been asked to put $100,000 back in there again for next year. So right now we started this year with 75,000. Because we haven't had a lot of legal expenses, we backed that down to about 58,000 and moved some of that money into engineering for a big engineering project that we're working on. But in speaking with the mayor the other day, we're going to need to put at least $100,000 back.
But that engineering project is, in a sense, to keep us out of any potential future litigation problems.
Yeah,
So
it's good money.
it's a good strategic move, and we all support that one because it'll help clean up our construction, or let me rephrase that, our development standards for subdivisions.
But you're saying, Chris, that we did have some insurance, but that insurance has been exhausted, at least on this claim.
Pretty on all 7 of them. or 6.5.
Well, on this issue.
On this
Yes.
land issue,
The
yes.
same
But if there was-
person filing the lawsuit.
But if there was some other issue, some other development that happened, then we still have insurance that would protect us
There's another,
in those situations.
yeah, no, I can't guarantee they would do, but yes, it would be a new claim. Yeah. And then they would
If
decide.
it was deny it. but
If
they
it was
could
filed
also-
by someone else, yes.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's completely unrelated, it's something down in the Four Seasons
Yes.
development type thing, just
Yeah.
completely unrelated to historical ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, then we could get some more money.
Is it,
Somebody.
do we have the right
pissed about
attorneys
Three
on this?
Bridges.
Well, so the,
I'm surprised the attorneys haven't sanctioned it.
well, there's only so much that they can do because it's still America, right?
Yeah.
Keep doing it. So there are some things, and I think the mayor brought it up in a public meeting in the town
did.
hall, that they are going to push back on this one and go after the laws in the state. I don't want to speak too much, maybe.
He
I
was
wasn't-
pretty blunt in the town hall
Okay.
Yeah, I
meeting.
remember hearing it.
And he did say that we're gonna look at, we're not gonna just sit by and say, yeah, this is fine, let us go and rack up a bunch more legal fees so that you can come back and fight it again. We can, and it is actually alluded to in their claim that they do not feel they're vexatious litigants and that they don't feel that we can go after that.
And
But-
7 lawsuits in a few years on kind of same, and most of the lawsuits have been dismissed, is my understanding. And that it sounds like the city may be done. Push back
Good.
to whatever legal extent they can push back.
Yeah, and, it's just, part of it has been that the municipality isn't supposed to go after its citizens. So we've just had to take a defensive stance on everything, but it's getting to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
it affects all the citizens in the community.
Mhm.
And at this point in time, from my point of view and watching what I've been able to observe, it's becoming a joke. It's becoming frivolous and I don't want to say that somebody that's suing the city, it's a joke, but it certainly has gone on long enough and I don't think they've won a case.
They
No,
have
they
not.
haven't. And
Um,
everybody
I
has a right to have their day in court, and I fully
Sure.
support that and believe in that. And
Absolutely.
but they've been heard. They need to move. It's to a point, my personal opinion, that it's time to move on. Right? They've had their day in court. They've had their chance. Let
Yeah,
it go.
that's what I'm saying is if there's a way the city can shut this down once and for
And it's
all.
not any, I mean, it's sad because we understand that this is taking a lot of their life away and the time that they have with their family. But it's also sad because it's also putting a burden on the residents here in the community that we shouldn't have to be carrying.
We should not.
It's sad for the Adams that they're still having to deal with this despite the loss of her husband. And it's still impacting, from what we can tell, it may be impacting the sale of her home as well.
We think there was some interference.
Was there-
Maybe.
Was it true that it's the 2 neighbors had a lawsuit and the Fuges lost a lawsuit against the neighbor also?
Yes, that
So
was,
they haven't won anything.
yeah, no, the judge, they probably didn't get as much as the Adams probably didn't get as much as they felt they deserved. But the ruling was against, Tannen and Megan, and, they did have to, pay some of the damage costs that the Adams incurred.
This is 8 or 9 lawsuits that they have not won. So I
Correct.
think the mayor alluded to, and that's why I wanted to make sure I wasn't saying anything, is going after the vexation litigant. Because I think they're feeling now that there's been a lot of lawsuits.
Well, from a budgetary standpoint, I would hope that and as we vet numbers, I think we would be strong in vetting enough money there to get after this once and for all and close it down.
I think we need to, get a really good lawyer that can handle it.
So we're gonna
It's a billboard advertising.
one
No.
fall. that's all.
No, I think we need someone who, understands municipal law
Yeah,
and
that's the
also
issue.
real estate and can just say, you've had and is willing to look at every issue and say, you've been hurt on this issue, you've been hurt on this issue, and not allow them to bring up,
I've got your attorney if you want. So,
okay. that's
Just
good.
somebody a little more aggressive, I think would be good.
yeah,
Um,
this guy's aggressive and he understands it all.
Is it somebody from Soldier Summit work or something?
Yeah, Actually, he's our attorney on from a board standpoint. He
That
is
would be
tough,
great.
he's a tough cookie, but he understands the ins and outs of all of that type of thing. And I think if somebody could put some closure to it, he could,
That'd be awesome.
if you want his name.
I think we're going to look at. I don't want to overstep, but I think the council is looking. Possibly.
Okay, after the meeting, I'll give the name to Janet.
Okay.
Okay,
That
that
would
would
be
be
good.
amazing. I can pass it on.
So we are over budget in administration, professional, services, 350. Again, this is part of that, and I went through to just check and see why.
I think the
Possibly.
council voted back in the fall and it hasn't reflected in here.
Okay.
To up that.
And
to-
some of this is like grants for reimbursement for stormwater plan and things like that. So it's studies that are being done or grants that we will receive funds in order to get reimbursed.
What do you think for next year? So we've been doing 40,000. If we finish half, are we going to finish the whole project this year, that big one we're doing, or is it going to be over 2 years? You told me the other day. I can't remember.
With the development standard ones, they don't think they'll be able to get it all done by July 1st.
So we had 30,000 in there. Do you think?
I think, you'd have to ask Ted on that one. The only one that we're suggesting as far as professional services out of the office or planning commission is that additional 8,000 for the development standards.
So is this like engineers, consultants and such?
Mhm. Yeah.
We have a couple different engineering lines, but this one's mainly used for the office type stuff. Then we've got engineering for roads and that kind of stuff. We'll get to that down in a little bit.
But some of this is like some of this does involve some of the culvert, civil engineering and things like that, those costs. So I'm hoping we'll get reimbursed from some of that from this grant that we're getting. But I was kind of surprised about that one. Otherwise, I don't see any need to change any. Well, I do. Sorry. 352 elections.
I was just looking at that.
$0?
Zero. Yep. Nope. We haven't spent any this year, and I don't think the county will bill us till July 1 of starting in 2020. Well, July 1 of this next fiscal year for
Okay.
us. So I think we might be able to pull that over into next year's budget.
2,500.
Yeah, 2,500 or somewhere else it'll be used, but we will need $6,600 if we do a full election cycle, and that would mean if we need a primary and the general election.
And a
We
primary
we
beef, we
just
have 2 mayors
decided
running.
that we were going to.
Right.
What does that pay for, Jody?
That will pay for the county to handle our elections. And I threw in just
Our
about three.
elections meeting our city council.
Yeah, we have to decide by June 1st if if I have to decide if I'm running.
Yeah. So anyone who wants to run for city council would need to declare city candidacy. We have 2 positions on the city council, and the mayor is up this year. And
It's already been 4 years.
Yeah, it has.
declaration of candidacy will run June 2nd through the 5th.
Should we put 6,600 in and then take the windfall if we don't have to do it and we can back it out?
Yeah. And then if we don't have to, we'll know in November. Well, we'll know if we don't need a primary in August.
Okay.
And if we can back it out and use it somewhere else, that's great, but we'll need 6,600 in there. Administrative travel and expenses. I have only used $1,137 of my funds, and I have 3,000 in there. I would have typically gone to continued education this week, but because of city council and this meeting and some other commitments, I did not go. But I'll be using some of that next week when I do go to St. George. So if we can keep it at 3,000 and not take any more away, I would appreciate it.
So you're going to the same conference, but it's just on a different line.
Yes. Mine comes out of a different. That also covers all my continuing education, my grandma certifications, my record keeping certifications that I have to keep with the state, and those type of certifications that I need to do.
Good things.
Yeah, they are. Administration, office supplies and expenses. I think what's happening with our office supplies and expenses is it's just all falling into that category and not being divvied up between water and building. And that's fine. I'm okay with that. as long as we can maybe deduct from the other if it makes it easier. But it won't because we've got to keep the enterprise. So maybe when we order stuff, Lori can do it half and half.
Yeah, we're still doing good.
We're still
under-
doing good, and I think we'll be okay.
What about the admin book subscriptions?
On admin books and subscriptions, we are over.
We had a $1,200 membership fee to Utah League of Cities and Towns, which is good money.
Yep.
And the Mountain Land Association of Governments MAG, that's other good money. People do so much for us.
And then we have Home Builders Association.
But we got two fees. We got a $1,400 fee for membership for Utah League of Cities and Towns, and then another $1,200.
And that's what I don't understand why we had two.
I see. She paid that one early.
Okay.
So we actually have next year's covered now. She
All
paid
right.
this year.
So that's a good thing. Well, yeah, that is 2025, 2026. And then also our Zoom system comes out of there. I did take down the number of licenses this last year because we weren't using all of them. So I was able to take about $300 or $400 off the bottom line. So
So we're probably going to be okay with it it needs to go up a little bit because it looks like somebody's fees went up. So maybe like 50.
So this
500.
past year, yeah, we're at 6,800. So I would put it at 6,000
Okay.
just to be on the safe side. My philosophy is kind of different than some others. If I don't need to spend it, I don't. So I'm never going to come to you and ask for more money than I need.
Ted?
And I'm always going to,
I wasn't gonna say it.
I
beat you
try to
it.
do it because if I go to my husband and ask him for money for something, I better have it detailed out down to the penny almost because that's who he is. And I'm okay with that. And if I'm overspending, he's going to want to know how I can maybe get a sale price or a discount.
I'm in Ted's head now.
I'm
Oh,
a
you are.
shopper
You
and I'm
are.
a price matcher, and that's just me. So
I question him when he spends money. I kind of grill him and give him a hard time, and I've gotten in his head now.
I know it is.
I like it.
Repairs, maintenance to the city center. We have budgeted this year 10,500. We will use it. We've got some more expenses with the boiler. It was just repaired this week. And that's going to be $1,000. It looks like it's going to be 1,000 to fix one of the switches for our air conditioning. Actually, what I've done is I've turned the air conditioners off outside. Otherwise, they will run during the winter. So in order to keep them from running in the middle of the winter and coming in and finding our room 62 degrees, I've just turned the whole system off. They're supposed to get the parts in later next week, but it's going to be about $1,000 to $1,200 to fix it. We also need to probably start putting some money away to do some repainting and some repairs to the facility. So
It's one thing to say we need to have some money every year because there's little things, but how old is the building and how likely are we to get some significant roof replacement, flooring replacement?
We have the.
So
rock wall
we,
issue.
yeah,
Falling.
we just did 2 air conditioners last year, which was a big expense. So we have one that we'll probably have to do. We repaired it, and they said we could probably get along for another 2 or 3 years. As far as our furnaces, we have not repaired those at all. And those have been in the building since 2010, 12.
What was the first phase of the city center building?
So that would have just been your basement 4 bays, which is just where we keep our tools now, kind of, and we park 3 vehicles. This second phase, which is the whole upstairs and the fire station, that was done in 2012. Did we finish, I think? I think we started in, we broke ground actually in 05, and it took us almost 7 years to build the building.
Because
Really?
citizens
Wow.
did it,
Well,
kind of.
kind of. And then we had to hire Robert
Towards the end.
to come finish it because it just wasn't. So we took a long time to build the
But like
building.
these lights, I mean, these are so inefficient. These things suck power, and the new LEDs barely spin. They're better, and they don't.
And I didn't believe Chris when he said that, but we went through our house and we just had an electrician come and replace a lot of our lights for LED. My electrical bill dropped by $44 this last month.
Amazing.
And I get it. I'm not going to recoup $1,000 that quickly, but I also don't have to replace my lights for 20 years. And so by then I'm going to plan on probably being dead. So I think I'm good. Or at least not living in my house. So it's probably money well spent if we did that.
So,
Go ahead. So that's office supplies, repairs. We went through our administration website. or computer software. That's what I wanted to talk about. This past year, the mayor decided with the council to hire an IT firm to handle some of our IT issues and also to provide us with virus protection and kind of a backup.
Was that partly like the cameras here? being able
No,
To access, or is that something different?
this is totally just, it's Alakazam support. And it came at a hefty price tag, in my opinion, and it is a hefty price tag. It's about $18,000 a year. Because we split the 2149 quarterly between, we split 4,300 quarterly between both administration and water. I don't know if we're getting our money's worth out of it. I'm not an IT person.
They're just monitoring the website.
They're yeah.
Handling the back end of it and things like that.
Yeah.
Are we doing any payments through it, through the website in any way
Mm-mm.
or utilities? or-
We do the payments, but it's through an API, so it's through a third party. But these guys, there were some laws that were passed in the state of Utah that almost required us to have some kind of IT support. And we've had to sign some things as employees and yeah.
I think it's just questionable. It's a hefty price tag, but not getting hacked, I guess maybe is, but that's a,
So I have a son-in-law that he was working for Saratoga Springs at the time. They got hacked
Mhm.
and it cost them $250,000
Yeah.
because of, well, it was more of a
And Bitcoin.
threat.
yeah, it was a threat, and I think there was also some.
It was a hostage situation where we're taking you hostage unless you pay this much money or we're going to destroy your system.
Right. Now, a lot of ours, I mean, Ted's really good about not clicking anything. So
Good.
he's good about that.
And
And
our accounting software is held on the Amazon Web Services server.
But
yeah.
you never know when you accidentally click on something or.
Yeah, we
whatever.
hope not to do that. We haven't had, I'm not going to say anything. But I don't have any wood to knock on or near me. But
You just never know.
you never know.
in this
So
world.
it is 18,000 though a year, which is an increase in the budget, and it did take out quite a bit of our administrative computer software, and we did go over there.
So the budget for 9,000, that's half of 18,000, but it was even more. Was that
We've
increased this year?
we've spent almost 15,000 this year.
But was that a one-time expense?
No.
Or this is an ongoing?
This
Yeah,
is an
so-
ongoing expense, and so we're probably looking at $18,000 a year.
And
So
this
you
gets
gotta
split
double
with us.
18,000 out of this bucket, not, so Alakazam plus other stuff.
Yes.
Got it.
So you need to increase that amount.
Yeah, so I just made a little note. I'll add the Alakazam in. And then otherwise, Ploris hasn't changed. And the website goes on a different one.
Question I would have, as the city shopped,
We went to an RFP. Now, did
No, we
RFP?
didn't. We just took a state, I think they're on the
State
state
contract.
contractor list, but I'm not for sure. We did not shop around. We didn't, I mean, I know there's people in this city who could do it. And they could probably do it cheaper, but it's also distancing ourselves from having a resident do it over having a company that at least we can, hold a little bit more
I've got no
liability.
skin in the game, really.
Yeah, there's nothing they're going to benefit from it.
I can give you a name too on that if you want.
Okay.
And he's not in the city, so.
So on the third page, second line down is SWIP. We did go over there, and let me explain why we went over our budget.
Sorry, real quick. Are we going to do anything to the website or you think that's going to stay the same?
It's going to stay the same.
Can I go back in this budget and just ask a question, Jody?
Yes, please.
Just wanted to, are you covering yourself for if you have to buy a new computer or?
We
anything like
do
that?
administrative capital outlay on equipment. I haven't spent that yet. I do need a new computer, but I wanted to wait to see where we ended kind of the new year. And if my budget was totally out of whack, then I was going to kind of push it off till next year's budget. Like I said, I'm a penny pincher.
I think you're okay to get it.
Okay. I'll probably wait till June and make sure I'm okay, and then I'll do it.
You have so many records.
I do, but mine is, it's,
Your computer is super
But the
important.
problem is if I get it now with the tariffs going up, he just upped China again today.
oh yeah, that's right. I probably would be good. I might shop around.
I'm running to Costco.
I
to
did,
grab.
yeah, I
wanna
did get
grab
a,
it quick before the prices.
I might,
hit.
yeah, we did get a quote from Alakazam. It seemed a little bit high, so I went and just checked on Costco, and I can get it for about $200 cheaper. And if I do buy it on our Costco card, we get an extended warranty.
So for reference, whatever, but I have to buy toilet paper for my cabin,
Uh-huh.
cases of it, and I went today, and last time I bought them, I only buy it like once a year, I'll buy like a ton, right, for the whole season. It was like $15.49 for a case or something last time I bought one, but today they're over 20.
You don't get the Charmin Rip Rolls, do you?
No, I get
Yeah.
the
I was gonna
Kirkland.
say, no. Sorry.
I get the Kirkland, but I'm just saying, like, everything's going up, like, that's a.
There's
it-
one expense I just
Everything's going up.
want my Charmin. Sorry. I'm gonna be honest there, but I have the Kirkland here
Hey,
at the
those are for
offices.
those are for
So
renters.
we don't get the nice stuff here at the office, just so it's on the record. We don't splurge in that area.
Okay, side note, I can only put out one or two spare in the cupboard in each bathroom, or the people will think that they can take it home.
Yeah.
And so I have to lock
Lock
it
it
up.
up. My husband's one of those.
No way.
Yeah,
People take toilet paper.
They take
home.
everything.
you wouldn't. Yes, and I will.
If it's
it's
not
going- if it's
bolted
going up for
down,
money,
they think
too.
they
Yeah.
think I left it out for them to take.
That's silly.
And they think it's part of their fees that they do.
Really?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Paper towel, toilet paper, garbage bags, you name it, they'll take it. They'll even swap mattresses if we've got renters in one. He swapped a mattress one time thinking we wouldn't notice just because.
A lady took the pillows and a blanket, like pillows off of the master and. a
Okay,
couple
you're talking
blankets.
about rental properties, not city center. I'm going,
No.
wait a minute, when did we have mattresses in the
No.
city center? Who are these people
Rental
coming?
property.
We have a new
We
fire
do.
department.
In the town hall meeting, people are going in and snagging rolls of toilet paper?
I wouldn't put it past him, you never know. But, on to a different, do you have any other questions on the
No,
page?
I don't.
Okay.
That's, I
Sorry.
covered it well.
Page 3, we got carried away. SWIP, we did go over this year. We had to complete a big MS4 because
Which is what?
an
Yeah, thank you.
Which
MS4
line are you on here?
Whoops.
4190
Page
102, page 3, number 2.
Oh.
Second line down.
And
Can I
you-
just
you
ask-
call it- I thought you said whip.
SWIP,
SWIP.
Stormwater Maintenance Protection Plan.
Okay, SWIP.
Before
Um,
we jump to page 3, we just skipped $100,000 on bond principal and interest. Is that because it just is?
It's set price.
that's a set price. I can't do anything about it. If I could, I would, but
Okay. You just gotta ask. Hey,
Yeah.
we went through the budget, we just ignored 100,000 of it.
Yeah.
only 100, that's not too bad. Those are numbers that we can't, it's not going to change. We have to make our bond payment. That means our interest is going to be that. It might go down a little bit as we pay off more of our bond, but it probably won't.
Yeah, the interest in the
Yeah,
will change every year.
a little bit, but it's not going to make a big difference in there. And I don't get to control any of that. So, SWIP though, we hopefully will never have to go through an MS4 audit ever again in at least my time period. These are usually done on big cities. It's for the drainage that flows off of construction properties and that goes off of our city facilities. We had to pay for an audit, and that meant we had to hire a SWIP guy. We had to work with the state, and he had to do a ton of extra work, lots of reports. The good thing is we passed. Took us a year, but we are passed, and we are good with the state, and so we won't get fined. If we didn't do this audit and we got fined, we would have probably had to hire someone on a full-time basis to do our SWIP.
So when you say we got audited, how frequently does the state audit cities?
Depends
Or-
if they get a complaint.
Is that it? Is it based upon complaints?
No, they are going through and they're doing everyone in the state right now.
Okay.
We figured their focus, or we had hoped their focus would be on larger cities because they weren't really hitting the small mountain communities or even, Goshen or any of those small ones. But when our new public works director started, actually 2 weeks before he started, all of a sudden they called us and said, hey, we're going to audit you, which just took me by total shock.
This
We
is the
had
state auditor's office.
Well, it's
the MS4.
MS4. It's not the same auditors that audit our financials.
It's the SWIP, so it's our wastewater. They called us and said, hey, we're going to audit you. And I said, we don't even have our public works director, we just hired him, but he's not here. And so they waited till the January until they could get started. And then it's taken us a little over a year to get done. But that is also an in and out expense to a degree. We will have to allow more though, because he will have to do at least more in our budget. We'll have to allow something because he's going to have to inspect our public facilities now on a monthly basis.
Even though we're billed out.
Public facility, this place.
This place, our
Lift
salt
station.
shed, and I'm not for sure about the well up above, but it's
You
100.
say He is that one of our own city employees or?
It is
outside?
not. We outsource this. And a majority of the inspections are for construction sites only. So if someone pulls a building permit, they pay a SWIP fee, and that covers all their fees for this gentleman to contract. We contract with him to do the work. However, now, because of this MS4 audit, and they found out we have public facilities that have discharge, he will have to charge us each month to do an inspection of these public facilities.
About 20%.
I think it's like
Starting.
100%, $100 a month for each facility. So we're,
About 10%.
yeah,
What do they do in the inspection?
nothing really.
They just give money.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, he goes around, makes sure there isn't dirt collecting on the street, and then we don't have salt going into the roadway, that their salt is cleaned up in the winter, that we're not discharging.
Big brother watching Big Brother.
Yeah. But that's part of the price of being a city, and we have to do it. So
The fee is just for all the reports that he has to file.
And to the outside guy, I mean,
So what are all these building FICA, retirement, health insurance? Is this part of yours?
So that is not, this would be Ted. So
Okay.
Ted reviews our building plans as our building official right now.
So
we'll
that's part
see-
of his salary.
It's part of his salary, and it's the breakdown. There is a new bill that just passed at the state legislation though, that would require Ted to get some additional training in order to remain our building official.
Oh, yeah, I did see that. We talked about that.
And so you may want to look at either upping his training budget, because he's going to have to get his license. He's going to have to be a licensed building inspector in addition to his engineering license.
Because we have to have one. So either he has to do it or we have to hire somebody outside.
Correct.
But I thought we had outsourced that to LEI for a while.
We outsourced our building inspections, and we still
Sunrise.
do outsource our building inspections, but they will not be our building official. And that's because our building official, one, it's the paperwork before an occupancy permit is issued to make sure it's all in line. Two, it's reviewing plans. And three, it's also compliance with city code. And they want nothing to do with enforcing our city code when it comes to building.
And it's a target of lawsuit.
It is. Also, we would lose out on all the money we bring in for building permit reviews. And this last year we brought in about 80,000. So that helps offset some of Ted's salary. So if we don't want Ted to be the building official, then we got to put 80,000 probably in the budget, or take away 80,000 because someone else is going to do it.
I just made a note. I'll talk to Ted about that. Just so you know, on page 2 is where page 2, line 4141 is Jody's, and all of Jody's salary and a chunk of my salary comes out of there. You can see
In
we're low.
administrative, where is that? 41 what?
But where's,
100.
so where's Lori's?
So Lori's underwater. She's
And I
treasurer.
think Ted's,
Well,
some of
that's
Ted's comes out of that too, right?
I can.
So that's your salary and Jody's.
And then we
Some of it.
We had some for overtime because of the lawsuits.
Right.
We had some for potentially hiring an assistant recorder to help front office. But so when we do the budget this year, we're going to lower that down because we don't need all that in there.
I'm going to retire and become the assistant.
Okay. I'll take you. But I think some of that is also Ted's, if
Part-time.
I'm not mistaken. So I think we've got 3 people that are in there.
I'll only do part-time.
Okay. How many
Jody's
hours?
only part-time.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. She's far from
I've been here
part-time.
since 7:45 this morning, so
Yeah.
You need to take tomorrow off.
Bless your heart.
I did take an hour out and go get some dinner.
Thank you for being here, Jody.
No, I'd be happy to. And then really everything else is not in my budget area. I mean, there is,
Isn't the enforcement,
That's Wayne, basically.
that is Wayne.
police?
And so
Police, they're guessing, was it?
police,
Man, that's going up
5%?
big time.
police
Yeah.
is, I did have a question on the dispatch fees, Chris. That's at 144%. And I don't know if those, invoices were done correctly or if they should have been, but if we're already at 144% and we've got 2 months left, I was a little concerned.
Yeah.
Let me just look at that real quick.
What that is.
Was there a Ray? Who's over dispatch? Is that Doral?
Doral.
It might have been a Ray snuck into that we didn't know, but those are all legit. Well, yeah, it's all made to Central 911, all the checks.
Is it still central, isn't it?
It
Central
is.
dispatch.
So we may want to look at,
Does that have anything to do with having to move the sirens here?
was any of that radios? No, that would have been something
Or new
else.
radios that were in compliance?
It all says checks are made out to Central Utah 911.
I know, and it seemed a little bit, because we only had allotted 8,500 and I mean, actually we've spent 8,500, we revised it to 5,876. So maybe there was a problem there. I don't know.
The original budget was 20 grand.
I know, that's why I'm like,
So why are the attorney fees in there? Enforcement attorney fees? It
So-
looks like it's 000, and then all of a sudden 10,000.
ordinance enforcement officer or enforcement attorney
The attorney-
fees.
So Wayne,
It's
We
4210.
allotted 10,000 in case we had any attorney fees that we had to cover underneath there. I think,
So if
Well-
we send Wayne first and then they comply, we're good. But if we have
Yes.
to get an attorney involved, that's where we've got a budget.
right. And I think right now when Wayne goes to him, it just comes out of our normal attorney fees under admin. We haven't been separating it out that,
I can work with Lori on that.
we can work with the lawyer, but it really is, I mean,
So that's
yeah,
under Wayne's jurisdiction.
yes.
I don't think he's had to use them too much.
He's done a few letters to him, but not, I mean, and we're not talking a significant amount, maybe $1,000, 1,500.
So once again, when we redo the budget this year, we'll be able to put that maybe more towards the other.
And maybe we'll be able to put more. And I just, kind of a shout out to Sergeant Dutson. I know our police services, you look at that and you go, wow, that's a lot. However, he has really been great to help even with some of these ordinance enforcement issues. Where
It's one thing to tell Wayne to go fly a kite, but to tell the
yeah, not
sheriff-
only, yeah, they don't tell the sheriff, and he's got such a good,
He's had to go to a few calls with Wayne because Wayne's actually kind of been threatened.
yeah.
One of my
Like
neighbors.
Wayne calls and says, come back me up, or Wayne says, I'm planning to go talk to so.
I'm planning to go. Would you come with me? And his temperament is so good. He's really personable. He wants to help.
Very approachable.
He is just. We are lucky to have him. We are really lucky to have him. We've had other ones, and they've all been good. I'm not saying, but he's just clicked with the residents really well, and he does a good job.
He supports all of our community activities. He's at all of them. He helps.
And I can take a letter to him. I had one yesterday, and I'll say, "Okay, look at this. Tell me, is this okay to send? Is it going to rub any?" And he'll come back and give me honest feedback. And he's remarkable.
Great.
There's not anything better
That's
I can say
great.
about him.
Good.
So those are all mine. I think the rest
Go
are all
home.
Ted's.
Go
And-
home.
You can ask him why he's over on his budget and
Go
stuff.
home and get approval for a bigger budget from your husband.
Yeah, he wants a car, so I don't think so.
He already has a nice car.
It's 10 or 12 years. It's like 11 years old.
Is it? So, mine's 5, which is weird. I usually only keep them 2.
Mine's 4, so
You've got the Jeep out there, right?
I do.
She has the black.
I have
Jeep,
the
and
black
it's my fault
Jeep.
that she has the Jeep.
And it is Janet's fault.
Yep.
100%.
Have lockers on it?
No.
You need to add that on there and get some lockers and go. do
If
some
you think
real-
mine ever is going to go
Off-roading.
off-roading, no. This is one where I just sit there and I open the roof and I go, oh, okay, I can go back to work now. Grandkids
great.
don't really get to sit in it, you know. So they can go sit in grandpa's
Yeah,
car.
hers is shiny and pretty and mine does go off-roading. And
Yours is shiny, Brad. Noticed that today.
We try.
Thank you, Jody.
Thanks. Appreciate
We
your work.
appreciate all that you do. And we say that sincerely.
Okay.
Yep, we will.
And there is water down in the fridge. I know it's warm in here.
You're fine.
Feels great.
Okay, go home.
So Chris, let's dig in and get through this other portion as quickly as possible.
Okay, so as far as the revenues, I have Ted's budget up on the screen, but let's pause on that for a second. As far as the revenues, we're just going to go through and just, we're going to do the budget the way that the state has kind of asked us to do it. We're going to put all the expenses in and then see if we need to back into it with a higher truth and taxation. So from talking with Ted and seeing some of Jody's things and some of the homes that have closed, it's hard to estimate if we're really going to need to hold a truth and taxation hearing this year or not. We didn't hold one last year, which makes me a little nervous because our tax rate does slip. We're supposed to, in theory, get the same amount of revenues that we were the previous year, even though the tax revenues slip, property values go up. However, they did a devaluation of Woodland Hills and many homes a few years ago. So we're just going to be watching that closely. We won't have our numbers from the state estimating our property taxes until June. We won't even know that. But as far as the next line, unpaid property taxes, we just take a guesstimate on previous years.
What
They've been-
line?
Where
is
you
that?
at?
Sorry, line. I'm just going to go down line by
Page one.
line. 3120, page 1.
So on Jody's paper, not on the screen.
Oh, you know, I probably should just, let's go off Jody's paper since it's the general budget.
Go off this one?
Yeah,
Yep.
the paper.
Okay.
So
First page.
first page, I was going property taxes current 3110 account. There you go. Right there. We're going to just wait till we get the state numbers.
So property taxes is money that's coming in, but is unpaid, prior years coming
Priors.
in now.
Yep.
Okay.
Residents have 4 years to pay their property taxes.
You can get delinquent up to 4 years
4
and then
years.
catch up.
Yep. But then
Yep.
if you pay your 4th year, the county says, nope, that's your recent. So you're still behind. So if you're 4 years and you pay 1 year, you're still 4 years.
When you hit 5 years, they sell your property.
You would know.
So our residents are pretty good. You can see we're at 98.2%. We've almost had 100% pay their property
Sure.
tax this year.
Yeah.
Unpaid property taxes,
Is it typically people that have paid their homes off that are not paying their property taxes?
it's hard to say.
I would
From
say,
a mortgage broker perspective, it's built into the escrow. And so
yeah, I
Aaron,
would say it's
only
people that
2%.
have their home, they own their homes outright and their homes in a trust.
It's only 2%.
yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
Yeah.
principally, I could see people forgetting to.
Yeah.
I would say
Say how
it's
much
older
they spend.
people whose home is in a trust and they forget.
And they're just, yeah.
Yeah, it might be a piece of property that they own.
And then the parents die and the title company gets it and they have to pay the back taxes.
So unpaid property taxes, the next line is just kind of an estimation. We've gone into detail with the county and it's really kind of hard to estimate.
So Chris, let me just ask a question. So from 2022, which we had close to 800,000,
Mhm.
we're almost up to $1 million.
Mhm.
Is that more homes?
More homes. Yeah, we remember we had that the big building boom. Like when I sold
Yeah.
my home, we had that big building boom. We had like 18 building permits in 1 year.
But it's not because values have changed so much as it is just number of homes.
And values have gone up and values have gone down. More have gone up than gone down.
My taxes went down.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and we have a few other residents. They explain that also. Motor vehicles, that's just, it's just kind of it's a crapshoot. If people register them with their address in Woodland Hills, we get the taxes. But if their business has it in Provo, or they register at their cabin in Idaho, or anything like that, which
It's
I know,
here.
I know you don't do that. But if they don't register it within the city of Woodland Hills address, we don't get anything for it. State sales and
And we
use
have like
tax.
5 vehicles, so we're doing our part.
So anything we register up here, a resident, we get credit for that from a sales tax.
Correct. For the motor vehicle
Registration.
registration.
I was
Sa-
gonna
Sales
say, we
tax
do
is
more than
different.
that.
But how about sales tax?
Sales and use tax is if somebody
It's point of sale. It's wherever the point of sale is.
point of sale. So if you buy a car in Spanish Fork gets that sales tax. However, it's a shared sales tax. So the city gets like 50% of it, and the other 50% goes into a state pool and gets divided out between all the cities. So, we have higher sales taxes and maybe Salt Lake has more sales tax. They don't get 100% of that.
Is there a get around on that where you can encourage the residents, say, okay, Doug Smith, I want you to come up here and write it out and put it.
That's where they're out of.
I thought there was at one time that,
No,
Was it
people
Wendy that
thought,
was-
somebody spread that rumor, but it
Mike-
wasn't
Mike
true.
Reed, Mike Reed was telling me, he says,
Yeah, he told
Yeah.
everybody and it wasn't real.
Now, Brent and I spent a lot of time with the sales tax people. And so what we did learn though is if you buy something here on Amazon and it's shipped from out of state, then we get the 50% sales tax because it's point of sale here. However, if you buy something on Amazon, they ship it out of the Amazon location in Salt Lake City. Salt Lake is the majority of it. That's where that is.
But during
so-
COVID, we did get a good, like since COVID, we've gotten a little bit of money.
Yeah.
It's been nice.
so all of the online shopping that's delivered to your house.
Every
is-
day.
Does that, I mean, everybody does it. Does that sales tax come to the city because this is the point of sale?
Mm-mm.
No.
Walmart and Spanish Fork gets it, or Walmart and Payson gets it, and then we get our little shared portion of it. But somebody got a candle company here. You know, if your wife sells candles out of her house and she's got a building or a business license, and she sells $200,000 worth of candles, and we get 10,000 in sales tax, we get half of that.
we should have everybody go into business
We should.
out of their homes.
I will say it's 8:20, and we've only touched maybe 1/10 of the budget.
I know, and I keep talking.
And no, it's okay. I'm okay to stay all night. I just want to be cognitive of your guys' time.
I'm not, we're leaving town in the morning.
Well, let's see if we can crank through this by 9.
Yeah, so we got a lot to go over. We're one page of about 22 pages. So transportation tax, that's a new tax that was given to us several years ago that was done by the county. It's just a gift tax, I'm just going to call it. It doesn't reflect us, but we're the beneficiaries of that. Franchise tax for electric and gas, that's money, just what it says. We get a tax on all of our bills that are through the city. You'll see it on your bill. It's already set at the max. We can't ask for any more. We could reduce that. But at the time that I believe Mayor Harding was the mayor, he's like, the roads are getting ripped up. Comcast or Questar's coming up, and this just, yeah, they do excavation permits and stuff, but it would just, you know, it's at its max for both of those. Down into business licenses, that's just an estimation. Once again, we don't have very many businesses in the city, but those are a very small amount. Building permits, that's another estimation of how many building permits we guess we're going to have next year. That amount fluctuates because the money comes in and goes out also to pay for salaries.
Do building permits vary on the size or
Yes.
value of the home?
Yeah, it's so that they take it square footage and, but I
How
don't
much,
think
how much are ours? Cause I heard how much Salem's were.
I don't have the exact breakdown. Jody would have that, but there's like 10 or 15 lines of different things that they get charged for. Yeah, I don't know exactly.
But a bigger home takes more review, so it's a bigger, higher building permit
Correct.
cost.
Correct. Yep. Animal license, we'll skip that. Those are small amounts. Let's go down to the next section. ARPA reviews done. Fire department grants. We really haven't been getting grants. The FEMA grants, we've never gotten a FEMA grant, but we do receive some other state grants. And so that's what that is. And Ted applies for those every single year, and they apply for multiple grants. Class C roll allocations, this is gas tax that we get. And this is gas tax that they collect in the state, and they divide it between everybody and by the asphalted roads that we have, and then some dirt roads get a little percent. But I think we're about 15.1 miles, and Ted reviewed that, and that's kind of where we are.
Do we have any dirt roads in the city?
We used to be able to categorize some of it down, going out the backside by Loafer.
We do have one.
Or the
council.
Summit Creek?
We have a dirt road. Broad Hollow where the chain right below, there's a section of dirt road.
That count. So it's really, it's negligible.
That's not dirt, that's just deteriorated.
I think it's dirt.
No, it was originally paved. It's a paved road.
I mean, I've been on it with my Jeep, but I have to put it in forward to go out there.
The next one, 3358 liquor allotment. This is from the county. This is a county tax, and they give it to us. We put it all towards parks. Jody did a little audit on this because they had not paid us for a few years, and they're actually going to write us a check for about $4,500, which is nice.
The liquor fund allotment?
Yeah, well, actually, the park grant, but the liquor fund allotment we use on the parks also.
You're saying we get the revenue in on the liquor fund allotment and then we,
Spend it on wood chips or mowing or sprinklers or something like that.
So
Like the
you
park,
said,
we just had
you
to do
said
wood chips.
4,500 though, but there's 1,000 there.
But so we just got notifications past month.
Okay.
We get 1,000 a year, but they hadn't paid us in a while. So
so is the person driving the lawnmower drunk?
So we get a little bonus this year.
Wait a second, the person driving lawnmower, you had to see him. He beat bops down Woodland Hills Drive. I laugh when I see him driving down there. He's so happy.
that would be Peterson.
Yeah, He's just a smiling away and he's jamming out to
Peterson's the
music.
one that mows the lawn part. Uh-huh.
So,
He's got his earphones on.
and he smiles,
Yeah.
just big smiles. Zoning subdivision fees, once again, I believe we have too many zoning subdivision fees coming up for next year. I think that would be mostly Summit Creek, unless somebody else like,
So the ZWIP is a wash.
Yeah.
It
so it's
washes
supposed to
out.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we make any money off that. Fire department services, that's if we go to, like, if we go to Soldier Summit and fight our state fire up there, they would pay us for those kind of things. Fuel reduction, these are when the guys are going out to fight fires out of the state. So like Palisades Fire will go in there.
That's a good amount of money.
There's more coming.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a
Mhm.
good thing. We just got called out.
They just got home from a fire a couple days ago.
Yeah,
That's
Chuck-
really a nice amount of money.
They were in
For the
South
city.
Carolina fighting a fire.
yeah,
They were gone 7 days.
drove 3 days, fought the fire one day, drove back 3 days because it rained.
Really.
So, but anyways, we get paid going in, going out.
So how do the employees, how do the firefighters get selected? Is it there's an ask, is anybody willing?
No, we hire outside
No,
people.
they're hired.
So
My
we
son
have,
Jamin did it for 2 summers.
we have an engine boss. His name is Lance, and he gets paid he gets paid a lot more money than the firefighters because he's certified. And then the Palisades Fire, one of our local guys did go. John Wallace went
Yeah.
on that, but most of the time, because it's a 2-week commitment, and a lot of our people they have other jobs, and it's hard for them to commit for 2 weeks. So this last fire going to South Carolina, we had one gentleman out of Spanish Fork, and we had one gentleman who lived in Salem, didn't work for the Salem Fire Department, I don't believe, but he did do some summer firefighting. So all certified people. It's a clique group.
So how do we get the money for people that live in Spanish Fork and Salem? Are we paying their wages?
We put them on as employees,
Oh,
Yeah,
got it.
yeah.
Okay.
so they're employees.
So we have our own little wildland rent out crew.
So
Yep, exactly.
if you go to page 3, bottom of page 3 says fire fuel reduction. These pay for all that outside firefighting. Yeah, so that's
These are
what
not always, we're not even the majority are local volunteer people.
correct. They're just using our equipment. So
So we're bringing in the money, but we're also paying out quite a bit.
correct. But we keep it's a good thing for the city.
Yeah.
Well, it's really good for the fire department because a lot of their equipment is expiring and is dangerous. And so they use the revenues to try and replace update some of the equipment. So
Yeah, and
it's
talking
good
with Ted
cause.
this week, he's like, maybe we're trying to get to the point, like you're saying, to use the fuel reduction to offset his salary up there on the board to maybe be able to kick it back to the city. And
Yeah.
the city won't be able to raise property taxes. But this is on the bottom part in the orange. This is his estimation. Well, that's expenses. We don't know what the revenues are going to be, but this is estimation of expenses. Sorry, we can go back to the paper. So we were on 3422 sanitation garbage. I've not seen the rates this year. I'm going to guess they're at least a 5% rate increase. That's what I'm going to put in for now. 5% rate increase, which will pass it on to the citizens. Summit Creek Trail Improvement. This is part of an agreement that we have with Summit Creek that they pay us X amount every year to use for improving trails in the city. A lot of it would be their area.
So this is the trails that go through Summit Creek. It's maintaining those trails,
Yes. And some of it can be used on the other side of the city also.
like the switchbacks or
Yeah,
whatever, what other trails we have in the city besides that.
yeah. I mean, the Parks Trail Committee, they bring some recommendations to the council through Brian. The next one, fiber revenue. These are mainly people, new connects. So new homes that move in connect to the fiber. Or like if Mike wanted to hook up to the fiber, then it'd be $1,500 just to get the line to his house.
Is there anybody that's still paying from that financing
I
agreement?
believe we are
No,
done.
it's
All those
finished.
finished.
Yeah, I think
those
we're
are
all done.
done.
So now these are all just one-time lump sums.
Yeah, that represents 10 people at $1,500. Miscellaneous services is what it is. City center rental, Jody talked about. Park rental, Jody talked about. Interest, we were doing pretty good on our interest with PTIFs. We're getting 6.5%. We're down in the 4s now. So it's still pretty decent. Interest on fiber, you can see that that's gone and that will go away next year. So I'm gonna put a 0 there. Proceeds of capital sale. We are selling stuff and we're going to sell even more. The council approved last night to sell roughly $65,000 worth of equipment that we're not using anymore. So that number could go up.
So it'll be added into here.
This is mostly fire equipment that we've talked about,
No.
vehicles.
Skid steer,
We bought a
And-
skid steer last year. We owed 35. It was worth 50 to 55, so we thought we'd buy it.
Well, we bought out the lease. We had it longer than that, but we bought out the lease last year because it was either that or turn it back in.
They wanted it
Yeah.
because they would have people ready to buy it and they would make 20 grand off it.
So we bought out the lease.
Would you like
because
some
we knew it
water?
was worth more
Anybody
than what
want
we
any
owed.
water? I'm gonna
So
get
it
some
would be-
water.
Yeah.
Would anybody want any water?
I'll take it.
Yeah, me too. So then we bought a backhoe, right?
Front loader.
Front loader. And, so we don't really need the skid steer anymore. So we're gonna sell that. And then what was the other thing that we're selling?
The Kubota, the yellow
Oh, yeah.
tractor we had, orange tractor. I think Mike, it's in the other room.
As I say,
You guys want some water?
yeah. So the skid steer was used in the salt shed to load salt into the
Plow trucks.
plow trucks, and we used to have a conveyor belt, so the skid steer would load it onto the conveyor belt. They would park the plow trucks under the conveyor belt, and we had to do trips. It's fascinating doing all this and learning all the things. But then they got the front loader, and now they got rid of the conveyor belt, and they just use the front loader, and
They can get it all the way up and in.
yeah, they get it up and in on the truck.
And is just the one driver doing all of this with his own truck? There's not somebody sitting down at the salt shed waiting to reload. It's just the driver takes his truck in,
yeah.
parks, and he gets their loader.
And I think they kind of end up going together. Lots of times they kind of end up there at the same time and they help each other. So. And they have certain employees that they'll let drive the loader and other employees that aren't allowed to do
You
that.
can drive a plow truck, but you can't drive the loader.
Well,
Somebody else has to work
there's
for
just
you.
some people that,
The loader is different. It's
Let's just name it.
articulating.
It's Ben, right? Ben's bad with the loader.
No, I think Ben's one of the good ones. So that's sale pro, capital assets, credit card fees, those are okay. Miscellaneous revenue is just what it is. I can tell you what this is this year, why we have so much money in there. 369.
We take in $4,000, we think, at the celebration.
no,
We got 4,000 in the budget.
right, because I need 4,000 to spend.
That's what you need.
But that's not a revenue, so
So this isn't
It says-
miscellaneous revenue.
It says PAS because it's a pass-through, I think.
Yeah, correct.
so what revenue comes in for city celebrations?
Oh, so we have like
We get,
booths, firefighter, or no, booths and
SESD gives us like $1,700. We have the car show, we get some money on the car show. So, but then the car show buys T-shirts. And the $1,700 that we get from SESD goes towards dinner to pay for J-Dogs. So we don't make money. I mean, we bring in money, but we don't make money because we spend
and
it.
we'll see the expense coming through here in just a second. And we've changed it from Woodland Hills Day to city celebrations because there's so many now, you know, with Halloween and Easter and Christmas. Do you guys do some Christmas?
Yeah, we do Christmas for sure, Santa. So, but it's easier to raise money for Woodland Hills Day and then just keep the leftovers. We try to have a little leftovers so that we can buy donuts and stuff for the trunk or treat and have a little bit of money to buy candy for Santa
Sure.
is what we do. So then I don't have
Makes
to go
sense.
every single holiday and beg for money. Because sometimes I have to just go to residents or I've gone to some of the builders and I always go to Summit Creek and ask for money. They give us a donation every year, not a money donation, but they rent the climbing tower.
Do we have some money in the budget to fix the concrete wall as you enter the city,
Roundabout.
the roundabout?
That's not ours.
That's county? Okay.
We'd have it fixed by now, but the county is on their list, but it's not a high priority.
Top-
And,
I don't even know what happened, but anyway,
Somebody
somebody.
came right.
You what?
and he
Somebody
died.
right into it.
Didn't he die?
I'm not sure. I don't know his outcome, but
I think he died.
He had a load of bricks in the back of his truck.
oh,
And he couldn't make the turn and he just went straight and hit it head on?
I can't remember, but Rachel's told me the story. Rachel was there. We arrived on scene right after it happened. And watched them go in and they had to pull bricks out of the cab of the truck just to get to the guy.
Oh, boy.
dang.
That's too bad.
Okay, top of page 2, emergency management, that's a new thing. We're just giving some budget in case they've got meetings or things they need to do. Transfer to capital projects, excuse me, transfer from capital projects. This is extra money that we had for, I believe that's the fire truck. I could look it up, but we wanted to bring some of that in so we didn't have to raise property taxes last year as high.
That's a
And-
big amount, Chris.
Yeah. Thank goodness, because otherwise we'd had to raise property tax last year and do a truth in taxation.
Mayor didn't want to because we had to raise it so much the year before. So he wanted to, and it was, a lot of people, it was just a tight year for a lot of people, so he wanted to do everything we could to not raise taxes.
And we'll see more of that in the next few pages so we can show you how that added up.
Okay.
And then just the typical mayor wages and stuff like Janet said, that's been the same for 8, 10, 12 years now.
Is all of the mayor's wages there? It's not spread through other buckets?
So all city council and mayor wages here, mayor gets 500 a month and council gets 200 a month? 9130.
162 a month.
Okay. So that's what theirs are. And then the administrative salary, just talked about Jody's and my salary coming out there, and a little bit of Ted's, and then all the benefits that go with it, from FICA to retirement to our audits to our attorney, which we've talked about. We're going to up that. Professional services we've talked about already. Elections we talked about. Appeal of variance we talked about. Utilities are what they are. We did get that roughly 40% increase last year. So we're going to just have to keep watching that a little bit. Our insurance is what it is. Travel to conferences, that
Do we have
Good.
appropriate insurance on the city employees and various things?
so the city employees are indemnified by the city through resolution and ordinance. I think it was. You guys-
What do you mean, Aaron?
Well, like directors and officers insurance or fiduciary insurance or things like that.
Like,
I get
like
it.
Jody discussed, the lawsuit is against certain individuals who
Right.
work for
Yeah.
the city.
And the city covers that.
Yeah, so
As they
even
should.
the law, even the insurance company's not covering it because we only have that 14,000 the city's picking up.
There's a caveat. You can't, if you're doing something in the
Reckless.
reckless, then the
Yeah.
city's not.
Sure.
going to-
And
If-
yeah, I get it.
If the recorder or the treasurer was embezzling, they would.
That we have separate insurance for. We have treasurer's insurance that covers anybody who's got on the checking account. So if, is that blurry or is that my eyes?
It's
That's
blurry.
Okay. If I stole money, Jody stole money, anybody who's got access to a checking account stole money, there's insurance for that. To repay the city, not to cover the employee. Med books, subscriptions, office supplies, repairs, maintenance. Looks like we talked about all those in the bond.
Yep.
Principal. And then there would be like Jody's computer there at the very last line, 4141.740. So we put a couple grand there every year.
Chris, this bond principle, that was for the water.
No, this one's all for general. So this is like the road we had, we put Woodland Hills Drive, City Center. We had like 6 or 8 on it. Planning Commission, those are just wages we pay Wayne. Wayne is pretty much volunteer.
I was gonna say, does Wayne receive any compensation?
Yes, he receives cash from the city as payroll, but very minimal, like $200 a paycheck. The guy's here almost full time. Here a lot. Site plan we talked about on the top of page 3. SWIP we talked about. Building FICA, we kind of went through all of those. Any questions on the 4190s? Public safety, a lot of Wayne's salary will come out of the public safety. This is, he spends a lot of his time. And then planning commission, I think he does a lot of volunteer. Let's drop down to fire. So if we look on the screen, that's blurry. If I can get that to be unblurry. There we go. The top part is what Ted is asking for. And in the interest of time, all he's looking for overall is an 8% increase right here.
8% in equipment or wages, or where is?
8% overall compared to what he has this current year total.
So what is the fire wages, Chris?
Bonuses, so part of Ted's wage comes out of there, and then bonuses for the firefighters at the end of the year. And then there's a formula that we go through if there's certain certifications and they attend a certain amount of time. With the fire, there's a lot of things that they're required to do, and one of the big things is changing out their radios once again. So they've been working on getting those radios and fire equipment, and like Janet was saying, their turnouts have A lot of the turnouts have expired already. And we've got it. So overall, 8%.
Is the 8% primarily just the fire equipment supplies?
That's what it looks like. So he's at 40 this year for equipment supplies. He is at 45,000 is his budget. So he's looking to go to 55. Oh yeah, it's on there. He's looking to go 55,000.
So everything's staying the same except for the equipment. That's going up by 10 to cover turnouts and expired.
Yes.
So he's just increased the budget, it looks like 10,000.
So for PPE equipment, that's getting expensive. The turnouts are getting expensive. We don't know what the tariffs are going to do if they're coming from a country that makes them that have tariffs. But once again, you drop the tariffs down to 10% for every country but China, or not every country, but the countries that are
They-
playing ball.
Yeah, they did away with the tariffs on every country except China today.
Every country, or just the countries that didn't do retaliatory tariffs
Yes.
against us.
Well, he put a 90-day stay on it.
Yeah.
So it's just, who knows? I don't know where the turnouts come
This is
from.
almost as volatile as Bitcoin. This is exciting.
Hey, Bitcoin was 72 yesterday. It's up to 83 today. So if you dumped some money and you would have made,
He's making life interesting, isn't he?
for sure.
Well, it's a chess
Okay, so fire training, most of that is spent in St. George, but they do use that for,
Because it's so darn hot down there.
well, they go down there in the winter fire school. In January, they go down there. Anything else on there that you want to talk about?
No, it looks pretty standard, I think.
Okay, and the fire
Why
fuel.
is the net remaining at negative?
Which one?
Net remaining on fire fuel reduction.
Are you talking about the
Oh, yeah,
line
bottom.
22,
930, I think that's what it is.
line 30? Oh, okay.
Is this the?
Well, most of it comes from line 22.
because the money hasn't all come in yet. Remember they said that? So maybe I'm wrong, but Chris, but they've paid for a lot of it, but some of the money hasn't come in yet. Is that what that is?
We see it. So we got D22 plus C22. Yeah.
So they're going to get new turnouts, Chris, right?
Oops, wrong way.
Refurb or,
New ones is for some people that, because the turnouts I think are $3,000 to $5,000 per fire.
are they really?
Yeah, they're pretty expensive.
They had to get the masks, those were all expired. We ordered those.
So he's taken some act. Yeah, we've received 100. Actually, we've received now 140,000 since he's done this. So he's just taken some of this we have to pay up front, and some of it we get, and some of the money takes 3 to 6 months to get back to us. So it's kind of a gyration that we're playing.
I had no idea they were that much, and they expire in how many years?
I don't remember.
Even their helmets expired, like everything.
Yeah, you guys had to
expired.
do a special
Really?
increase last year to the budget,
What would degrade on a helmet?
dropping on the concrete.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would degrade it. Washing the turnouts, going to fires, wear and tear. I have to get
And
with Ted on
They have
specific-
expiration.
why he ran
dates
it
on
that way.
I can see the turnouts. I can't see a helmet going bad, but
Rachel told that at one of the city town halls. She explained how the helmet, hers was expired or something. She
yeah,
bought it.
I can see them if they crack or.
Shoot meeting your kids.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase that. Camden was running balls.
Wearing his helmet, yeah.
No. Sliding off the roof on a sled wearing that.
That sounds like some of my
Something Camden did.
crazy boys. It looks like those are actually positive numbers, right? So he's budgeting 20,000 with a grant of 80,000, but we've received 134. So those are actually showing a positive. So maybe they're trying to say is, look, the city's going to have a 35,000, even with everybody else and all the expenses that go with it. So there is something that he may come to us next year and say, we need a new fire truck because we're making money. They took the new rush truck to South Carolina. They want to make sure it's going to run.
So you're talking $236,000 between the fire and the fuel reduction.
Saying 120 plus 160.
Yeah, 120 plus 116.
Yeah.
236, right?
Yeah, overall public safety, including animal control, is almost $500,000 now for our little city.
just going on the fire side of it.
Let's jump to EMS while we're here. EMS looks like it's a net zero. They're not asking for any more or any less.
And how much of the wages get split there? Because
So if you're,
EMS is fire.
so EMS, you have to have a EMT certification, so EMT or AEMT, advanced EMT. Some firefighters get $28 out of this if they're CPR certified. So of their bonus that they get at the end of the year, firefighter, if they're CPR certified, which they all are, $28.90 of their bonus comes from EMS wages. Otherwise, this is like somebody who's straight EMS. We've got a few that are just straight EMS. They're not fire. Yeah, so they would come 100% out of here. And that looks to me like it is a little bit on the high side because last year, nope, it's going to be right on.
But we talked about the fire fuel reduction wages. Those are outside help that we hire to lease out. So what is EMS wages?
Bonus, year-end bonus.
That's just a year-end bonus.
Yep. And the fire fuel reduction, it's not 100% going out to firefighters. You notice they clear our city properties during the April, May, and June before they start getting called out. So it's a benefit to the citizens, so everybody can know if they're listening to this recording, that by having these guys, it's not they sit around to go fight an outside fire. We're paying them to clear city properties. The city also leases them out to residents to clear the properties at a very favorable rate. The city's not losing money. The city's not making a huge amount of money, but it's getting properties cleared. So any other questions on any of the fire EMS? Police?
I don't have any, but
So if a volunteer has all the certifications, how much do they personally get enriched? Did I say that?
Tongue in cheek.
Air quotes. Yeah. How much does one get? In cash as opposed to a jacket or a dinner or a,
Something like that.
yeah.
Let me just show you.
it's not a lot, Aaron, I can tell you that.
I'm sure it's not a lot. I'm just wondering how little is it?
It's,
I'm going to stop sharing my screen because this might pull up social security numbers. So let me just make sure I get on the right.
I was not a certified firefighter, but when I was on the department and went on calls and everything as an uncertified firefighter, but anyway, it, you know,
Is
maybe
it hundreds? Is it?
150 a year.
Yeah, some
Okay.
some of the higher ones could get, if they have more certification, could get close to 1,000
Yeah.
But it's $1,000 for all the time that they put,
and all the training.
you know,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty minimal.
Okay.
that's enough. I don't see.
And we do whatever the city employees get for raise, we add that to all those little percentages that they get. So their CPR they used to get $25, and then the city did a raise and the city did a raise. So it's like $28, $30 right now.
Do they get their CPR certification fees covered?
We do it internally. Yeah. But yes, and all the certifications are covered and all the yearly fees are covered and all that kind of stuff. So
And it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, as it should. be.
Again, I want to make sure that everybody may be volunteering their time, but not volunteering any of their financial resources.
right. Only council does that. They just give out their own pocket.
No,
training.
honestly, I spent more to campaign to get elected than I made the first year, 14 months or
Sure.
something.
It's really,
But I don't do
thankless
it for the
job,
money,
but-
obviously. I don't do it for the money, but you also hope that you don't go in the hole serving,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
right,
As a-
absolutely.
As a family, you say it's one thing if you want to volunteer your time, but if it costs our family for you to do this.
Yeah, that's another consideration. Sorry, I'm trying to talk you into running for council, and here I am talking you out of it.
Okay, top of page 4, we talked about EMS. We do have the animal control. I believe that went down a little bit this year, so I do have those numbers for the county. I don't have them on me right now. Emergency management, once again, we've talked about that. That little bit is to cover the ability to hire an emergency manager. Not sure that's necessary or not, since we haven't even hired one yet. But that's up to the council. And I believe Ben Hilliard's over that. He's got a good eye on those. Roads. Let's go back to the screen up top. Ted is proposing a 7% overall increase, and you can see on column F where he's looking at increasing and decreasing. I will tell you This year, we're going to put a lot of money into roads, and this is per the
But we
plan.
haven't in a long time.
Yeah, and we have a plan in place that the council paid for, and it's a very awesome plan. However, in 2 years, the needs that the city is going to have, I believe, is in the $2 million range. We're just not going to be able to do that in 2 years.
So the road going up to the water tank's probably one of the most expensive, right?
But that's actually coming from a different pot, and it's only, what, 65,000?
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Really that much.
Okay.
It's not gonna be a road, quality road.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
Just,
we,
they're not gonna really do the
It's
edges
just gonna be
nice.
dirt and ass. I mean, it's gonna be a road, but it's not gonna be the same standard.
and one of the people renting up there already, our lease agreement has covered for 2 years higher lease payments to help cover cover the road. And we're negotiating with the other person leasing up there to pay higher to help cover the cost of the road, and the city's paying theirs.
Great.
It's not 100%
That's
on the
super,
citizens.
Chris.
Person leasing up there?
So we have 2 people leasing, they've had equipment up there for wireless internet and cell phone
Oh,
service.
Okay,
T-Mobile.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, T-Mobile and Verizon broadband.
I thought there was like a person that owned.
Oh, yeah, no.
Because they have to go up and do maintenance, so they have to
Yeah.
use the road, so that's
Yeah.
why.
And it's just a benefit. And I frankly, if they don't pay, I think they need to go around and use the other side, which they won't be able to get up.
I would assume Mark and his team has kind of gone over these numbers. Have they at all? Mark, is it Levin?
Oh, and the roads, I don't know. The plan's already outlined for 5 years, so I don't know how much that they're getting involved in. Our council voted on it to accept the plan, but $2 million. So Ted's got some ideas with doing some water line projects and getting some road projects done at the same time with the water line, because the water line's gonna rip the road up, but I wish he was here to be able to explain that a little better.
So on the roads, we can understand the stuff that we talk about that needs to be done to take care of the road. But what are the wages increasing within?
So Ted wants a big bonus. No, I'm kidding. That's a total joke.
He
Everybody's
wants a
upset.
helicopter. He always says he
Wants
wants
his
a
helicopter. We hired Toby. We hired a full-time person, which we had not intended to hire this year. And so his salary is going to be carrying over next year.
But he's an asset. to
He
the
is.
city.
He is a huge asset to the city. Just go walk downstairs and see how he's organized everything. And he's out all day long working with this Comcast stuff, trying to get the roads. He's really helping Ted free up for having us hire outside people.
Good for Toby. Good. Good thing.
Okay, so let's keep going on the paper.
Back to the roads and the water that you were, but they're getting grants. They get grants for the water and then they can replace the roads while they do. And they-
I
pays for it.
trust Ted a lot in his expertise, and I think the work that he's been doing, I would trust what he's doing here is in the best interest of the city.
Good guy.
Yeah.
Oh, Ted. I don't want to tell you the reason you asked me last night why I flew in. Ted's nervous. I had
I know.
meetings down in St. George for
Ted came and
government
asked
meetings.
for money and I said, oh, you brought and Chris was lurking in the back and nobody, he hadn't said a word.
No, I was hiding behind.
He was hiding back there and I said, I see you brought your backup. And then they're like, yeah. Chris goes, yeah, I flew in just because Ted was scared to ask him for money.
It's funny because he does say, I wonder what Janet's going to say. So it's good. Keep
Does
him on
he?
his toes. Yeah, a lot of times he does.
Well, just somebody needs to question, right?
Why not? Not a bad thing.
Somebody needs to question,
It's kind of fun now. He just knows to be extra prepared.
right?
I don't see anything glaring in there, Aaron. Do you?
No, I
That
mean,
would be
as
out
far
of
as,
order.
I wouldn't know if those are appropriate spends. All I can see is that we're remaining essentially the same, other than the wages that we increased.
Yeah.
I can just tell you it's not enough. Having not, being in the city now about 6 weeks, the roads are pretty bad. They're just terrible. I was driving past, past the,
Rockbank's house up there,
yeah, I was thinking past,
Shanto, yeah.
Woodland Hills Drive past Loafer. That road is gone. It's failed completely. And it's all filled in with crack seal and stuff, and it's just terrible.
Well, we've just had all
I
the
drive it every day. I just forgotten.
Yeah, it's actually, I don't know if you would, because it's up past the neighborhood dispute houses up in that area.
Yeah.
Right before that.
No, it's terrible. And the road, Deep Forest or whatever that goes on the outside. But if you go out front of Brockbank's home. It's terrible.
Is it terrible too?
Oh, it's terrible.
Chris
And
or Jerry?
Jeremy's.
And then Maple Drive, that's an old city road and that one needs to get replaced. But I think they need to finish the water line. That maybe is one project. he's
That
thinking
is
about.
one, but I get to hear from those residents all the time.
Okay.
On that one, especially the one that owns the company that I
Snowplow.
work for.
Let's see, for down.
We're down into snow plowing,
Snow plowing, top of page 5.
and I think that we have to count on snow plowing every year.
Yeah, and he's only looking for 4% increase, and that one fluctuates. You could ask for a 20% increase and not be enough, or you could ask for a negative 20% and it's too much.
Never know what kind of year we're gonna have, wages, salt, right?
Yep. Wages
Our
are
did-
salt.
we did good on
snowplow
salt this
drivers
last year.
are compensated.
We gave them a raise last year. They went from $25 an hour, 26, 25 an hour.
But that is a paid position. not
As a
just
paid
volunteer.
position, correct.
Yeah.
It's not enough.
Yeah, I mean, they're out there all night.
Bless their hearts.
They work hard.
Parks on here. Did he have parks? He doesn't have parks on here. I don't really see much going in parks. Except the city celebrations. Janet, what do you think? 4510.601.
How much am I getting?
Let's see.
Same?
You're at 12,000 this year. You've spent almost the whole thing. And I don't mean that you've spent it, but the city celebrations have cost that much.
So this is I've thrown it out a few places. I have a hard time, but it's because the dinner is a huge expense. But I gotta tell you, on Friday night, we have the band, we have the car show, we have the dinner, and we get a lot of people. We have 600 or 700 people up there.
That's awesome.
And it's really great.
At the park, you're talking.
Mhm.
Yeah.
On the Friday night. But it's the J Dogs that eats up most of the money. I mean, the band, I pay the band like $600. They're all residents of the community, so that's really cool.
It's really a net about 9,000 because we're collecting almost 3,000 on the other side, right? The revenues.
Yeah, but the debate is, do we charge a little bit for the dinner? Charge people like $5 a meal. It costs us more than that. It costs us like $7.
Well, you look what Payson did,
Salmon supper.
that salmon supper,
that's
and I think
revenue.
they probably break even with that, you know?
Yeah, but this is salmon, not hot dogs.
Right, right.
But last
But
year.
you don't charge as much for hot dogs. as
Right.
you do.
So last year I asked a few residents, I said, would you pay, not to cover the cost of the meal, but just to offset it a little bit. I asked a few people, would you pay $5 a meal? Because they get a hot dog, a water, a chip, and a watermelon.
And they said yes, right?
And they said, absolutely. And I said, it costs us a lot more than that, but just to offset some of the cost, would you? So maybe even if you did $5 a meal or 20 for a family, and they might have 6 people in their family, but it's just to offset it a little bit, so we don't have to increase the budget, if that
I
makes sense.
remember the breakfast in the past, there was a fill the boot donation type thing.
Yeah, and they don't get very much.
Would we do something like that? Maybe not a fill the boot, but a Venmo QR code as you're coming
The
through?
city has a Venmo QR code now, so we can do that, and we could have cash. Somebody could just sit at the table, and it'd probably be me. If I instill it, I'm gonna take the wrath. And if somebody,
But you and Lori has to be there.
yeah, and she gives me a cash box
Nice.
for some of the stuff. But and if I have to take the wrath, I can. And if somebody threw a big fit, I would probably just let them have their dinner.
Just comp it. But
Yeah.
$5 you can't even get.
I can't imagine anybody throwing a fit over $5.
You would be
It would
surprised.
it would
You'd be
be the
surprised.
tradition.
It's the same people
It's
stealing the toilet paper out of Airbnb.
it's all free.
It's not all
in the
residents.
past, so why do we have to pay for it now? It's not that it shouldn't.
Tradition, you know?
It's
So even if
because-
you added 1,000, but I think you got to increase that.
I do too.
And are you doing are you doing the syrup thing or is that still separate?
The what?
The syrup?
That's separate. I'm over it, but
Are we ever going to pull that in or is that going to stay separate?
it's part of the city, but they pay for themselves.
Okay, so we're not going to run anything through. So we
No, they rent booths. They have booth rentals, and the booth rentals cover the garbage and the porta potties
Okay.
and some of those costs. And then they're under the city's umbrella, which gives them insurance, police, everything. So I'm over it,
Okay.
but they don't cost us anything.
So,
But we do need to increase that just because of,
so do you want to go to 14?
yeah, please. If we don't use it, we don't. But then we could have a little bit left over for Santa.
And the kids.
I did donate my tractor to make sure the blue barrel was free so they could get to
Oh,
Should write that off. I'll give you a receipt, let me know.
Okay.
yeah.
I can tell you're worried about it.
The candy
Yeah,
for
I'm really
Santa
worried
has gone
about it.
up significantly, so that'll be good.
Okay, park maintenance, that's just a crapshoot, but I think there's a good amount in there. Park capital outlay, I don't think we have any big expenses coming this year. We did buy a lawnmower last year. Um,
And Peterson broke it the first week.
yeah, it happens. And then the transfers. So the transfers, the council really wants to continue with the transfers. These are just ways that we're saving monies for future things like a fire truck, an ambulance, snow plowing equipment, future roads, and some capital expenses in the park. Now, because we can only carry over, I think it's 5 to 18% or 5 to 15% our general budget every year, we have to move this money into capital projects so we don't get, we're not out of state. compliance.
Tell them about the well expense real quick. I know we're almost out of
The
time.
well.
They talked about it at city council last night. So
Oh,
the Maple Canyon well,
we haven't done the water yet.
oh yeah.
Yeah, no, but you're foreshadowing a very ugly thing. Go for it.
So we own 40% of that. Salem owns 60%. And the lining of the well failed. And they've had cloudy water. It's had a weird smell, different taste, and still drinkable, but nobody, anyway. And so they had people come and the lining was bad. So they decided to put a new sleeve in it. And the sleeve wouldn't go all the way down in because the bottom of the well has shifted. So it was going to cost us, I can't remember, 100,000 something, but it's going to be closer to 4.
So the
Our-
the split, our portion's gonna be about 185 right now.
Yeah.
It's gonna be, what was gonna be
Wow.
250,000, now it's gonna be 500,000. So far, they're not done yet.
And it hasn't fixed it yet. So they have to pull the sleeve out, and it was like a 12-inch thick, and they have to make it a 10-inch or something so that hopefully it'll slide down in, but it might not work. I don't know.
We have 40% of that shared well, and so 40% of the $500,000 is ours.
So we have to pay 40%
Is
of the
this well
cost.
down by the Davis property?
Yes,
Hmm.
and we need that.
We need it. Salem keeps trying to buy it from us, but we need to hang on to it.
Don't give it up.
We're not, there's no plans to. Every summer, when we hit the hot part and everybody's watering their lawns and everything, we have to dip into that well. We have to use that
Oh,
water.
Salem,
So if only we could say that's our secondary water source,
Yeah,
and then we use the good well at the top as our culinary water.
but what's
Mhm.
happened is our well, not everything was finished when we built the well up there before, so Ted
Oh, yeah,
put
there's this.
$500,000 into it. And this well down here, Maple Canyon, was supposed to be done next week. And then Ted was going to finish that before all the sprinklers came on. Everybody started watering their lawn.
Because we were gonna use the one we share as, well, because the other one's gonna be down. So that was gonna be our water source, but now that one's down. So we can't do the repair on ours until that one's fixed.
And we're going to be right in the middle of fire season, sprinkler season.
We're gonna have to send a message out to residents and ask them for a 2-week period or however long that they're gonna have to conserve.
No watering, no, don't fill your pool, don't.
Well, the funny thing is I normally don't turn my sprinklers on till June and sometimes even July, but this year it's all melted down. And now I'm looking like, when am I gonna have to turn my water on?
and they're usually on the beginning of May or.
But it usually rains through the 1st of June.
Yeah, through rainfall, I haven't felt a need to turn it on until June or even July.
Sure.
But anyway, so that's a huge expense, but yeah, sorry.
And that's this year, next year, we don't know. Part of it's going to be this year. We're trying to figure that out. However, luckily, the past however many years, we've been putting money away in a savings account. And so we have the cash to pay for it.
I was gonna say, what happened?
Yeah,
Well,
we-
that's why I brought it up, is because you were talking about putting money in the savings
Yeah.
capital accounts, and luckily we've been saving. Luckily, we do that.
So
Is
in
there
this,
any preparation?
And by
or-
state code, there's a rainy day fund limit that we can go to.
so this is an enterprise account. Oh, is there one we can go to? I believe there is, but I don't know if anybody else has had to use it. Yeah, I think they only have a certain amount of money they can use. So if some like huge $1 million thing happened, like. our-
No, I'm not saying that we get money from the state. I'm saying by state code, we're only allowed, because you were alluding to, you can only have 5%.
That's
extra
general
per
account
year.
only, general account. So now water's a separate business. It's a business account. So the city can make profits. We can the city can make a lot more money. We're very careful on it, but that one does not have restrictions.
Is the council concerned at all about water situation with these new developments down in Salem? And like Three Bridges, could they expel our water?
So our tank up there is above the fault. Been told that because it's above the fault, we're not dipping out of everybody. Same
That's
straw.
good. That's a good thing.
Yeah, and when Corbett was here, I asked, but we have plenty of water. We have a lot more water than we actually.
When we went to the state to get the loan for this well up there, Payson was there at the same time, and they were going above the fault also.
So our aquifer is above the baseline aquifer.
We might be dipping into your aquifer. You guys up there.
You might be,
Dipping into your aquifer, where you guys up there, you
For
who
solar
knows?
system.
yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But Three Bridges will come out of the Maple Canyon well and other Salem sources.
Oh, they've got a 60%. It's all
Yeah,
Salem.
60%, they don't get any more.
I wonder if they're going to.
Salem has found some other sources of water for them.
Are they going to have to drill their own well out there?
I don't know. I think they're allocating portions from other sources that Salem gets
I mean,
water from.
Salem, Three Bridges is only a small piece of what's going on.
Oh,
Midwest,
right.
Yeah,
D.R.
DR Horton.
I
Yeah.
know,
Oh, is that going
I
in?
just get concerned that they're so close to us.
Yeah, the Sixth Ward is saying that they're having 6 to 10 new families per week.
Is that against? Is that the one they fought against for a while, the residents?
It was
Against
where the
Dream
BYU
Mountain?
farms were.
Yep. Okay.
And it's how many homes?
They're expecting 10,000.
10,000 homes.
Not homes, residents.
Yeah.
So
Well, please pass along to Ted, our appreciation for putting this together, and Chris, your work on it.
Want to go over water?
Yeah.
Last one's water.
Oh,
Well, we did go over all the capital projects.
where
but
did I
there's really-
miss here?
Well,
It's not on the
it's
paper.
Yeah, so we're gonna go. We have to go to screen.
So real quick.
Sorry, it's small, but really, there's not much change for the water next year.
Where's it at up there?
That whole
The-
page.
Yeah, so
Oh, that
really,
whole
the
thing.
revised budget is pretty much going to be what it is this year. The one thing I want to highlight, which Janet was bringing up, is this is our depreciation expense. So we've been putting, we call it depreciation expense, but we're funding depreciation. So we've been putting about 100 to 140,000 a year away into a savings account, and really haven't dipped into it much. We dipped into 300,000 a couple of years ago when we got all these water lines projects going on. This year, if we do have to come up with $185,000 to $200,000, all we really have to take out of savings is like $60,000 to $80,000, because we won't be able to put anything into savings this year because of the 120,000. So really, we won't dip into our savings much, and we're earning that in interest a year because we have over $1 million there.
Okay. Because in council, you guys said we had money to cover it, but you didn't say where.
Chris, I have a really dumb question. So the numbers up there. Okay, never mind. I'm not even gonna ask it. I got it. It was the decimal with 3. I thought it needed to, okay, I got it. Never mind. It was a dumb question.
You're good. Talk it out. So anyways, this is the water count. We're looking pretty good. There are some water lines we still need to do. I think Ted was talking about $3 to $5 million still in water projects that we need to do.
Phase 2.
Phase like 2 or 3.
I think Ted is
Phase
in the
2 is
process
the
of
big one.
applying for a grant though for it.
Yeah, he's looking into grants and subsidiaries still, but, and that's when we can look at doing, so if we dig the road out to get the the water pipe out, and that the trench is 4 feet long, then we can also include 4 feet of asphalt. So if the roads are 30 feet long, then we'll have the general account of the other account.
Maybe President Trump will give us some money coming down the
He's
road.
doing that right now. Taking money.
He's taking money away, but maybe he'll have a big heart for a little city like that.
Supposedly Elon was going to give us all a $5,000 check, right?
what?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
talking about a
That's true.
rebate to all citizens.
Yeah.
that's true.
All the waste they found with Doge.
Maybe all the citizens could donate that to the city.
Would the city council like a motion on this that we,
If you're okay with it, they just want it, just your recommendation.
Just another set of eyes on that.
I would make a motion that we recommend this budget, that we've reviewed it, recommend it to the city council
With the changes that we discussed.
with the changes we discussed. So I would make that into a motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Mhm.
Can you put that in the minutes?
Yeah.
All right, as far as other items, there's nothing, public comment, nothing. Next meeting, do we want to decide on a next meeting, or do we want want to wait. I don't think we need one very quickly.
We've had quite a few lately, which is good. I feel like we're kind of a as needed group, right? But so,
What would be the next natural need?
The next one would potentially be, we don't have any big equipment purchases, but if Ted does start getting some of these grants for water lines and those kind of things, the one thing we may need to look at is the roads project that's coming up in 2 years, that $2 million. We might want to just have Ted come explain that, put our heads together and say, do we want to recommend a tax increase next year so we can start putting some money away? What are the roads? What needs to be done, that $2 million? Is it, break it out? Anyways, maybe Ted should come explain that in July or.
I would make a recommendation and we hold till the city council tells us that they need us.
yeah, and maybe June.
And just so you know, because you guys are very grateful for all the work you guys did on health insurance. They just, it was just a big thing and Brent was very happy. Council very much appreciated the role.
Well,
you
the
guys
city's
did.
worth it. The
That was
city
good.
is a great place to live, so we
Yeah.
want to keep it that way.
Brent didn't, Aaron had the expertise, but you know,
Yeah,
Brent
Aaron-
didn't have the expertise and he just, it was a lot for him to tackle, but
Aaron did amazing on all of that.
Yeah,
and
he
so-
Hey, I'm happy to feel like I'm actually providing something other than just smart.
hey, you're
Okay,
gonna,
consider this meeting adjourned.
you're gonna do, Woodland Hills Days too. Yes. Yeah, what's your other gig that's like 10 to 15 hours a week? Is that yours? Oh. Yeah.
It's summertime when I've got camp. Is that our state? It became our state. Was the Salem steak. Yeah, it was Salem steak. President Gordon, remember, always used to talk about when they went to the whole world? Yeah. They were the Asian steak up until 3 years ago. And then our steak. What's that? Because I'm the steak facility.
Yeah. I just on Saturday I was watching it, the Saturday morning session, and I was like,